Oh man, we've all been there, right? You're staring at that one thing you know you need to do, but suddenly, every other task in the universe seems way more important. You get that feeling of dread, and then, of course, the guilt that comes after. Well, today we're going to look at procrastination in a totally new way. We're going to lay out a clear, science-backed plan to finally get a handle on it. Let's start by just flipping how you think about the problem itself.
Right off the bat, let's get this straight. This quote from Mel Robbins is, honestly, hits everything. You are not, fundamentally, a procrastinator. It is not who you are. It's not your identity. It's just a habit, a pattern you've learned. And you know the best thing about habits? They can be broken. They can be unlearned and replaced. Just shifting your perspective on that one thing is a total game changer.
Okay, so if it's just a habit, then what is it really? What's actually going on in our brains when we choose to watch one more YouTube video instead of starting that big report? You see, to break the habit, first, you've got to understand how it's built.
Turns out, every single habit you have, the good, the bad, all of them, they run on this really simple, predictable loop. It's like a little shortcut your brain creates to save energy. And procrastination, it's no different. It has a trigger, a pattern, and a reward. So let's break that down.
Now, this is the part that might just blow your mind. Look at the trigger. It's not the task. It's not the report or the chores. The trigger is stress. You feel overwhelmed, you feel anxious about something, and your brain's one job is to protect you. So the pattern it kicks into is to avoid the thing that feels like it's going to pile on even more stress. And the reward? Oh, it's a sweet but very temporary feeling of relief. You see, procrastination isn't a character flaw. It's just a totally misguided stress relief strategy.
And this leads us to a huge misconception. We beat ourselves up, right? We call ourselves lazy. But the research is crystal clear. Procrastination has almost nothing to do with being lazy. The stress that we're desperately trying to avoid, it's almost always rooted in a very specific kind of fear.
So here's the big contrast. We think, ugh, I'm just being lazy today. But what's really happening is we're afraid. We're scared of not living up to our own expectations. We actually care so much about doing a good job that the pressure itself creates this intense anxiety. So we put off the task to avoid that potential pain of finding out maybe we weren't good enough. You know, this story from The Art of Improvement just nails this idea perfectly. As a kid, when a scary movie came on, what was the instinct? Hide, right? Pull the blanket over your head. You take a flight stance. And that is exactly what we do when we're facing a task that scares us. We hide from it by doing something else.
But then, something shifted. Instead of cowering, he leaned in. Instead of hiding, he actively challenged the thing that was scaring him. He literally switched from that passive flight mode into an active fight mode.
And boom, there's the lesson for us. When you actually turn and confront the thing you're afraid of, whether it's a monster on a screen or a blank page on your laptop, its power over you just shrinks. So the question is, how do we build systems that help us take that fight stance every time? All right, part one of the solution is to cut down on that initial stress, the thing that triggers the whole habit loop in the first place. And we do that by getting all those swirling, overwhelming thoughts out of our heads and into a trusted system outside of our brain. This classic quote from productivity guru David Allen, it says it all. When we try to use our brain like a messy hard drive to store every single appointment, every to-do, every random thought, we just create this massive, constant, low-level stress. The goal is to free up all that mental energy. So a super basic system just needs these 4 parts. A calendar for anything that's tied to a specific time, a way to manage your email so it's not a constant source of anxiety, a single, trusted to-do list for all your tasks, and a simple file system so you're not stressed about where to find things. Seriously, just getting this foundation in place can dramatically lower your overall stress levels.
Okay, let's move on to the second part of the solution. Once we've got our external systems sorted, we need to work on our internal mindset. And we're not talking about blind positivity here. It's about what researchers call realistic optimism. This really comes down to the amazing work of Carol Dweck. A fixed mindset is the belief that your talent is what it is. If you struggle, it means you're just not good enough. And that directly fuels the fear of failure. But a growth mindset? Well, that's the belief that struggle is actually how you get better. It sees a challenge not as a threat, but as an opportunity to grow. This story from writer Chris Loper is such a perfect example. He was faced with a goal that just seemed impossible. A fixed mindset would say, nope, can't do it. But a growth mindset reframes it to, not yet. That tiny little shift in language opens up this whole world of possibility.
So how did he get there?
Well, not by trying to bust out 30 on day one. He started with a goal so ridiculously small it was impossible to fail. Just one push-up a day. Then two. This visual of a habit tracker just shows the power of that approach. Small, consistent effort builds momentum and literally rewires your brain to believe that progress is possible.
Okay, so we've got an external system to reduce our stress, and we've got an internal mindset to handle the fear. But what do you do in that exact moment? You know the one, when you feel that powerful urge to procrastinate. For our third and final tool, we need a way to interrupt that habit loop right as it's happening.
This is the 5-second rule, also from Mel Robbins. It's so simple. First, you just notice the feeling. Oh, okay, I'm feeling stressed right now. Then you just count backwards, out loud or in your head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This simple little action actually interrupts the emotional, habit-driven part of your brain and wakes up your prefrontal cortex. That's the part that makes decisions. The second you hit 1, you physically move and just start.
Now, this is absolutely key. You are not trying to finish the whole project. That's what's so overwhelming. Your only goal here is to beat the habit of avoidance. So you just commit to working for 5 minutes. That's it. Anyone can do anything for 5 minutes. It lowers the bar for starting so much that your brain can't even argue with it.
And here is where the magic happens. Research shows that a whopping 80% of people who simply start a task will keep on going. Getting started is by far the hardest part. The 5-second rule and the 5-minute goal are designed to do one thing: get you over that initial hump.
So let's make this real. This isn't about overhauling your entire life by tomorrow morning. It's about taking one tiny step right now. So think about it. That one thing you've been putting off, what is the smallest possible action you can take to begin? Right now, in the next 5 minutes.